Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Crystal and this is Crystal in the City, and I'm going to be talking about the primary election coming up on June 5th. If you were able to make it out to the voters workshop with Create the Change and Uplift Inglewood Coalition, thank you. But this is sort of an extension or continuation into that. I did show up a little late, so I myself wasn't even able to thoroughly get an understanding of who, what, and what intentions were for the candidates that were going to be on the upcoming ballot. So, getting into that, I am going to be using the PowerPoint from the voters workshop done by NDD, and who's part of Create the Change. And I've also done my own personal research on the people who were in my district. So my district is 43rd District. The 43rd District covers Inglewood, South Central. Mostly all the people I know or went to school with, they have an address from this area in which they are possibly registered under. And I will be making another video that talks about registering properly, finding out if you're already registered and what district you fall under, so that when you vote you are aware of exactly what measures are going to be on the ballot according to your district. I know it sounds complex, but that's why they made it that way. They expect us not to vote on it because there's so many different little things that you have to be aware about because it's divided. So to get into that, I'm going to let you know what candidates are going to be running for the upcoming election. So like Governor Jerry Brown, his term is over. So now we have a position open for governor. There are so many candidates running for governor. I'm only going to go over the candidates who have a higher chance of getting elected, right? By popularity, obviously. So for governor, we have Gavin Newsom, who is a Democratic, John H. Cox, who is a Republican, Travis Allen, who is a Republican, and Antonio Villaraigosa, who is a Democratic, which we've known in LA for being our mayor in 2005. That's how I knew him. So immediately I'm like, oh, Antonio Villaraigosa. But then I thought about it and I went back and looked at his background and some things that he's done, and I found that Gavin Newsom was actually a better candidate because he understands the war on drugs, and he was also responsible of decriminalizing marijuana, and just so that it can become taxed and regulated, so that the people who have went to jail for marijuana, they are now, considered, somebody looked at as potentially becoming released from prison because, marijuana is now legalized. So Gavin Newsom gets that. He's been lieutenant governor already, so he's been in the service for about 7 years. He has experience. He's already been lieutenant governor. He gets us. He knows what's up. That's for governor. U.S. Senate, we have Kevin DeLeon, Democratic, Patrick Little, Republican, Dianne Feinstein, Democratic, and we had one more Republican. Doesn't even matter. Honestly, it's a toss-up between Kevin DeLeon and Dianne Feinstein. I don't know how in detail I can get into these people. I don't want to endorse them or whatever. I don't have that many viewers anyway, but I just want to make sure that you guys know that these are the potential candidates and these are the people that we should look into and make a decision on our own at the end of the day. Who do you think is best for what you stand up for in your district? So that's for the Senate. And then for Lieutenant Governor, there's Eleni Kunalik, if I'm pronouncing this wrong, excuse me. Eleni Kunalikis, Democratic. Cameron Garabiklu, Democratic. Ed Hernandez, Democratic. And Jeff Bleach, Democratic. So they're all Democrats running up for lieutenant governor. Then we have our controller position, Betty Yee and two other people she's running against, but I'm going to vote for Betty Yee. Straight treasurer, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates, and 2 of them are Democratic, 2 Republican, 1 Peace and Freedom. And I will go over these parties again too, like what does it mean to be Democratic? What does it mean to be Republican? What does it mean to be green? All these parties are essential in defining out what you stand for and how you want to see that, you know, represented throughout our legislature. Then we have our Attorney General position. Attorney General is a very important. Every state in America has an Attorney General, and they pretty much handle all of the criminal justice charges and all that stuff that we should definitely be more involved in. So I highly recommend we pay attention when voting for Attorney General. Let's see if this is on. So yeah, we have for Attorney General we have 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Honestly, I feel like if a Democrat gets in there, we'll be all right because we got somebody that'll be open to listen. Sometimes you have some Republicans who already have an agenda set out, don't care what the people say, but it's important to have somebody in there who is an open listener. So I would definitely go with a Democratic on that. As far as insurance commissioner goes, you know, I'm not sure. We do have 2 Democrats, 1 Peace and Freedom, and no party preference on that one. As long as they're Democratic or Peace and Freedom, I honestly don't think that's a bad thing. And then we have Board of Equalization for about 4 different districts on here. So I didn't go into research on that that much, but I feel like I could definitely make another video that addresses that. I just wanted to go over the more popular roles that affect us, and like we all know, like the governor is key. Like he has power to veto bills. I mean, like that's really key. Attorney General, U.S. Senate, okay, they approve the bills or whatever so we can make it to the governor. So yeah, I think we covered that. Also, if you're in the 43rd district, Maxine Waters is running. Maxine Waters is running for the U.S. House, California District 43. I think she's actually the only Democratic in her group that is running. And so I think it's very important for you to vote for Maxine. Auntie Maxine, yes. And then we have Mayor Antonio Butts. Mayor Butts is running again for re-election in Inglewood. If you felt like he was a good mayor, you can re-elect him. We also have Holly Mitchell running for the California State Senate District 30. So if you're in District 43, you will fall under the California State Senate District 30. I believe majority of it, if not all. And again, I will, under the voting video, I will let you know how to, when you register to vote or check if you already registered and see what address, I will talk about what district, how you can also find what district you are included in, so that you can properly, elect your senates and your assembly members. So with that being said, we have Reginald Jones Sawyer running up for re-election in District 59. That's the hood. I'm only focusing on the hood areas per se, like where minorities live, because I think those are the districts and stuff that needs the most attention, right? Those are the districts that I believe politicians think in opposition that think we don't care because we're not involved. And so that's what I want to focus on right now. I don't really want to focus on like Beverly Hills and like cities like that, or Orange County rather. I want to focus on Los Angeles County, where we need help. So with that being said, locally, we have a few measures on the ballot. So we have our propositions, and then we have our measures, our local measures. So some local measures that will be on the ballot regarding, depending on what district you're in. There's an Inglewood measure on there. It's called Measure ID and Measure SE. And Measure SE basically is a charter amendment, and it says, 1, to change the city's general election date for all elective offices to statewide election date commencing in 2020. 2, to extend the terms of office of all affected offices one time and by 1 year to transition to the new election date. And 3, change the runoff election date to an established election date. So you can do a yes on this vote or no on this vote to reject the measure. And then Measure ID reads, shall the Inglewood City Charter be amended? 1, change the city's general election date for all elective offices to statewide election date commencing in 2020. 2, extend the terms of office of all affected offices one time and by 1 year to transition to the new election date. And 3, change the runoff election date to an established election date. You can vote yes to approve the measure, and no to vote reject the measure. And personal opinion on this measure, I think that it is very important that if you're an Inglewood resident, you vote on this, because what this is saying is it makes elections a little bit more easier for us too, because it's like we have all these different dates. Like, I'm literally just tapping in and realizing how many different dates there are for like these elections. Like, you have your local, then you have your state, then you have your this, and then you have your that. Like, it's too complex. I mean, it's not encouraging the vote. I mean, it's too much information. It's not being explained. And so this is why I think the measure, both of these measures should be approved. Let's see. Yeah. Just to make it easier for us to vote. I think that's what everybody is doing, voting yes on this. So yeah, I didn't want to say too much, but I did want to cover the important candidates and positions that will be present on this statewide primary. Maxine Waters and Holly Mitchell, the assembly members, they're going to be on your local. So it's going to have all the information of statewide, but then it will also have your particular measures and candidates for your district. You know what? I didn't go over the propositions. So the propositions that are going to be on, which are very important, just as much as electing the candidate in the office. These propositions will be on across the state of California that you can vote yes or no to. So let's go over them. Proposition 68 reads, authorizes bonds funding parks, national resources, protection, climate adaptation, water quality and supply, and flood protection. Now, if you've been living in California this past couple of months, even last year, but even just these past, the first half of this year, we've been going through a lot of wildfires, a lot of floods that has been killing people. This measure addresses that. This proposition addresses that, right? So if you vote yes on this, you are saying that the state could sell $4.1 billion in general obligation bonds to fund various natural resources related programs, such as for habitat conservation, parks, and water related projects. If you vote no on this measure, you are saying that the state could not sell 4.1 billion in general obligation bonds to fund various natural resources related programs. Where do you want this money to go? Right? What is your alternative to your reason for no? So on this one, I'm going to say yes. The pro is that California faces droughts, wildfires, floods, and other challenges to our water and natural resources. Yes on 68, invest in natural resources and disaster prevention. Cleans up contaminated drinking water, increases local water supplies, provides safe parks for children and future generations. Annual audits ensure accountability. The American Lung Association in California, California Chamber of Commerce, and the Nature of Conservancy all agree. Con is this, and some of these are funny. Like, you can tell somebody that is just pissed and just wants to have an opinion on it. This is what they're saying. I'm not here to tell you that addressing drought, water, parks, climate, coastal protection, and outdoor access is wrong. Borrowing for them is wrong. California has enough debt. It has the worst balance sheet of all 50 states. The last thing the state of California needs is more debt. So of course it goes, if you have this booklet, it goes more into depth of the cons and the pros. But for right now, just simply put, vote yes on Proposition 68. Proposition 69 requires that certain new transportation revenues be used for transportation purposes. Legislative constitutional amendment. So, a yes on this vote means that the legislature will be required under the state constitution to continue to spend revenues from recently enacted fuel taxes and vehicle fees on transportation purposes, such as repairing roads and improving transit. Yes on this means that those increased gas prices that we've been experiencing, that money that they're getting extra, that's going to be used towards something, okay? That will in turn help us. If you vote no on this means that legislature in the future could change current law, allowing it to spend a portion of the revenues from recently enacted fuel taxes and vehicle fees on purposes other than transportation. Why would we need to use the increased tax fees on gas for anything other than transportation? I mean, keep the money in the same boat, right? Don't use the gas money for the weed money. You feel me? Like, you just don't do that. You keep the funds where the funds need to be